Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we will be looking into something called as global and local scope. So what do you mean by global and local scope? And this is one of the probably the finest questions you can receive in an interview. So your interviewer might just give you in such a way, give a concept in such a way where you have to realize which is the global and the local scope, and he will try to give a tricky kind of a question wherein you might be knowing all the fundamentals, but you will be a bit confused when it comes to global and local scope and figuring out what works where and what works how in global and local scope. So we'll just see with an example. This is probably a small kind of a video wherein I just want you guys to really understand where it really works and how we can make use of global and local scope and which has high precedence compared to what. Okay, so let's get started. So we all know we can declare a variable, right? Const name is equal to money, and you can do console.log of name, right? So everyone knows what happens here in JavaScript. You get the name money. So now if I just do a block here, right? I just do a braces here, curly braces, you can say, right? If I save now and if I go there, I won't get anything, right? So why am I not getting anything? Why? Because I have this scope is here, and I go here and I refresh or do whatever, I'm not getting anything. Why? Because my entire scope is, the name is declared in this particular scope. The name is declared in this particular scope, and I'm calling that console.log of name outside that particular scope. So that's why I'm not able to get what is there inside that particular scope. So you might be thinking, why on earth do we require this particular kind of braces, right? So okay, so consider this as a function then. So function also has that particular block. If condition or the for loops will also have same kind of block. So whenever a value is declared or whenever a variable is declared inside that particular braces or a constant inside that particular braces, it is confined only to that particular block. So now if I do a console.log of name here and then save it, I'll get that money here, right? So this is I'm calling it inside a block of code, or it is called as local, or it is called as local scope. Okay, this is called as local scope. Okay, so now we'll see an example of a function itself, right? Function something, function can be anything, right? So this is a body. From here to here this function lies, right? Everyone knows that. So now if I do a console.log, or else, wait 1 second, const name is equal to money. So we'll take that. I can't type today. Const name is equal to money, and then if I do a console.log outside of name, or call that function here something, and do a console.log here. So we'll check all the possible ways in which how we can do it. So if I save this and if I go here, I'll get the same thing which I was getting before, where I did money here. So this money is because of this particular variable, and this has to do nothing with whatever we have because this is not inside a block of code, right? So this is how it works in a function. So this is called as a function scope. So inside that, whatever you declare a variable, that is only used inside this particular function and not outside anywhere. So now if I can do an if block there, right? An if block, if true, that means it should run. And if I declare a variable something like age 25, right, age is equal to 25, right? And if I do a console.log of age outside that block of code, I'll get an error telling that age is not defined. Correct, right? because age is not defined, because this is outside that particular scope of if condition. So this is again the local scope. So if I do a console.log of age here and save it, I'll get 25 here, because I am getting inside this particular loop. So this is inside this, so hence I cannot make use of whatever outside that particular scope. This variable I cannot use it outside that. Okay, so now we'll just try to get a for loop in. So let I is equal to 0, I less than probably 5, or I plus plus. If I do that, and if I do a console.log of I, it should work. It should give me a value from 0 to 4, and it's giving me a value from 0 to 4. But what if I do cut this and paste this outside this particular for loop? It will give me an error telling that I is not defined, because I should be inside the scope of this particular for loop and not the outside. So this is similar. So all these constant let values has to be declared, and it has to be used inside that particular local scope, and you cannot come outside of that particular local scope and execute it. That will throw you an error, or you will not get the value. So what I can do now is I can just remove all these pieces of code basically, and declare one more function. Just try to do some another is a function name. Yeah, can do it. Another function name and const. I'll do the same name here, same name as money, right? And now if I want to do a console.log of name, and if I save it, and if I call that particular function another, what should I get? So that's, I can just remove this off, because you have already understood this, right? So you'll get money and money. So what happens here is I have a function called as something, and that something has a name called as money, and I have another function as another, and it also has the same variable like something, and it also has the same value as money. So this can easily work. Why? Because this const can be executed only inside this function block, and this can be only executed inside this function block. So irrespective of the name, whatever you can give, since this name cannot be accessed outside, like how can I show that? So now if I can show that console.log of name, right? If I go there, I won't be getting anything, because that console.log of name is, I cannot access it outside that particular scope. So I cannot access it outside the particular scope. So since I cannot access it outside that particular scope, I can have a name, or I can have a constant of the same name in any number of functions I want. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. So now we'll do a declaration of a constant. For example, age is equal to 25 on a global scope. So this is called as global scope. So this is not defined to any kind of scope, any kind of functional scope, or any kind of loop scope or conditional scope. So this scope is called as the global scope. Okay, so now if I have this console.log of age, so what do you think? One second. Function something. I'm calling that function something there. Console.log of age is equal to. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm getting that particular age value here of 25. Did not save that time. So I'm getting that particular age because this is declared outside this function. Yet I can call that particular value or particular constant inside a function. A global scope can be called anywhere. Can be called anywhere in that anywhere in that particular file. I can say anywhere in that particular file, or anywhere in that particular function expression, or anywhere in that particular JavaScript code, anywhere in the JS code, you can have that particular age can be called. So now age you can do it. And for example, now if I want to do a const age inside a function itself, const age is equal to 27. And now if I can console.log of age, so what do you think will have that particular value? So will you get 25, which is coming from the global scope, or will you get 27, which is defined to that particular functional scope? So if I save this, Yes, you will be getting 27. So your local scope will have high precedence. Okay, will have high precedence against your global scope. So this is what you need to know. Okay, so local scope will have high precedence when it compared to the global scope. So whatever you assign it globally will be can be used only if there is no local scope of that same variable name. Okay, apart from that, I think it is not a great practice to use a global scope. So it's always better to use a local scope on that particular function block or any kind of a block, so that it can be defined or used only inside that particular block of code. So this is all about global scope and local scope. This is, I just wanted to give an introduction into this. And most probably most of the guys get a bit confused when you are going into that particular interview and you have some tricky variables declared above and below, and they just try to tell which one comes first. So always think that local scope has a greater precedence compared to the global scope, and whatever you declare inside that particular scope can be accessed only inside that particular block of code. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful for you to make your fundamentals strong. So please like, share, and subscribe. I will be coming up with some more cool stuffs where will it will really increase your fundamentals and deliver a good thing for you. Okay. So with that note, thank you and stay safe.